So, intro to the new bike. I have owned a few, ridden a lot, and pretty much every bike that I've loved I've kept. Every one that didn't feel right, or power, or the way the motor delivered power, I got rid of them, because I need to personally feel. A bike needs to make me feel good. So hopefully, god dang wind, hopefully the wind isn't interrupting this intro. Anyways, so my last bike, and you've probably seen it on my channel, is my 2021 Yamaha TW200. And I always liked them, thought they were cool, but never rode one. So when one came up that was a good price, it was basically brand new. I had, I don't know, 30 miles on it or something. I changed the suspension on it, and did Race Tech gold valves, and then I think they're the emulators, and then I put a heavier spring on the shock, and it's, you know, it'll carry decent speed for its motor, and it's, you know, 1980s suspension, but it's incredibly fun until you ride one. You know, it's one of those, you got to ride it to really understand. Nobody can explain it to you, and you get it. You just got to ride it. But it's, you know, probably one of the last bikes that I'll own. You know, it'll be one of the last ones I'll have before I, you know, when I just simply can't throw a leg over a bike anymore. It's just, it's too fun. You know, it's slow, it's low to the ground. So anyways, I have a 2007 KTM 450 EXE that I absolutely love. You know, I've made it mine, changed the suspension. You know, I had one of our local experts do the suspension on it, and it's, you know, like riding on a couch. It's pretty crazy. But we changing bikes, like I said in the beginning, you know, I was like, maybe I'll, you know, I've got enough bikes to do what I want to do, and I don't get to ride a whole lot. So I said, you know, screw it, I'll sell it. And then you know, the market took a crap, so I kept it, and I was like, what am I going to do with it? So as I said, I really love the TW and the big huge front tire feel. It doesn't seem to jump off a line. It doesn't care about square edges. It just, you know, you point it and it goes, and then you can lower the tire pressure and get, you know, we'll just say for the TW, it feels like it's got another 4 inches of suspension, but you know, you get about an inch, I'd say. And then I was like, well, how am I, you know, I'll basically turn my KTM 450 into a TW killer, as I call it. And then I, you know, did some thinking, some measurements, and I have from I had an 07 525 that I supermotoed, that I would use that supermoto setup, the 17-inch wheels, and then put those big block Shinko E805s on there. And I bought some after doing some measurements and put them on there, and the back fit fine, but the front was just a friggin' nightmare. It was like I had probably less than a 1/4 inch, and that was at standard pressure. So I knew if I got a flat, it wouldn't work. The test ride I did in my backyard ripped off the fork guards, and it was just mistake on my end as far as the measurements. So I had our local suspension guy that I just mentioned, and I had him lower my KTM 450 by an inch. I was going to do 2 to get, you know, as low as possible, but he talked me out of it in case I wanted to go back. You know, 2 inches is a little too much for my weight. I'm 220 geared up. So he lowered that an inch, and I kept all the, you know, how we did it internally, obviously with springs and what have you. That's why I pay him to do stuff like that. So with that, I ended up getting 35, just about 35.25, 35 and a quarter as far as the seat height. I think the TW is like 33 or something like that. So with the, and this is with the 17-inch combo. With the 17s, again, it didn't work, so I had to go back to the drawing board and think and do some more measurements. Made some phone calls, and then I saw one of my online buddies had a 2011 Husaberg FE 570 that he put a 18-inch tire on the front, and then a big trials tire, Pirelli, I don't know what it was, the MT 43 or something. And then I tried to get him to sell me that, but he was selling his bike, and it ended up going with the sale of his bike. So I called around and see if anybody would custom make me a 18-inch wheel in the front with obviously a front hub. So, you know, it just basically, instead of 21, it would be an 18, and then keep the 18 in the back, so that, you know, the tire choices now are almost endless using an 18-inch. Obviously you can't be a super wide fat thing like you can put in the back, but instead of 2 tire choices going with the 17-inch Supermoto setup, you know, now I've got 10, probably 20 that I can choose from, you know, in all different manufacturers and what have you. So after all said and done, I finally had W make me, USA, they're in California. I had them make me an 18-inch with a front hub, and, you know, it wasn't cheap, but you know, neither is this hobby, so it doesn't really matter. You know, I got the money, screw it, why not? Just, it's all about fun. So then I put a on the front of my TW, I had a Shinko, I think it's a 244 18-inch kind of trials tire, and love the feel of that on the TW, so I put the same one. Again, open up tire choices, I basically put a, you know, if you think about it, a TW tire on a KTM. 18-inch front, 18-inch back. So, but anyways, got all that said and done, and as far as the seat height and lowering it, I'm at 34.75 inches. So 34 and 3/4 inches. And then so I'm just gonna, I'll do a clickbait thing and say it's a 2024 KTM TW450 as a kind of a clickbait thing. But there it is. It's so far I've got, this trail's, I don't know, 14 miles, so I'm halfway up now, and then there's another 6 to my house on the street. And it's, you know, it's a big tire, so it's kind of shitty on the front as far as street feel, but in the dirt it's exactly like the TW. Just got, it's obviously a heavier feeling front, it's slower, but as far as the lines, it doesn't lose a line at all. And I'm running 12 pounds in the front. I've got unfortunately the local shop, all they had was a 3 mil tube. They wanted a 2, you know, kind of wanting to be as light as possible in the front, knowing it would be heavier with, you know, an 18-inch, a bigger tire, blah blah blah, instead of skinny 21. But they didn't have one, so I put a 3 mil up front, and it's pretty crazy how similar it is as far as ride feel to the TW. Obviously the power's not there. You know, I mean, the power of this one compared to TW is, it's not even a comparison. But anyways, so I'll take a snapshot for the clickbait. And everybody's probably seen this, my bike before. You know, really the only change that I did was the front. But you can see the two rocks in the front with the trials tire. I mean, it's picking up all kinds of rocks and spitting them on the skid plate, and it's fun. But all I had to do, the only thing I had to do so far was, usually I ride at an average pace on 3 on my steering dampener, and now that 4.5. With that heavier front, it likes a little bit more dampening, but it's pretty cool. Like it.